Good morning and welcome to the National Newspaper Publishers Association's Let It Be Known. Tracye McQuirter was named a national food hero, changing the way America eats for the better by Vegetarian Times. She's the author of Ageless Vegan and By Any Greens Necessary, which established her as one of the most influential vegans in the country. Let's welcome Tracye McQuirter this morning.
Good morning. It's great to be with you. Thanks for having me.
It is great to have you. It's vegan and being a vegan, and I'm not a vegan, but it's such an interesting topic for me. It's such an interesting topic for many, and so there's like 1,000 questions, Tracye. So we're gonna throw them at you this morning.
Sounds good. I'm ready.
Well, first of all, give us a little insight into when, why, and what transformed you. People choose to go vegan for many reasons. We've heard, animal cruelty, environmental concerns, health reasons, and other things. What were your motivations?
Well, my mother planted the earliest seed. I grew up in Washington, D.C. I'm 56, so it was the 70s and 80s. And we were omnivores, which means we ate meat and dairy and plants. But my mother was really health conscious, so we were healthier. We didn't have sugary cereals. We didn't have sodas.
Nice.
We ate out maybe once a week. We cooked from scratch every day, and we had vegetables every day, and I hated it. So I had cousins who had all of those kinds of and sodas and that kind of thing, and candy and cookie jars. And so I was introduced to it over there, and I loved it. So, I ate what we were served, and not just what we were served. My mother, I'm the youngest of 3 girls, and my mother taught us to cook very young. So I don't even remember not cooking. And, we were great cooks. So right. The food was delicious. I just didn't like vegetables. So fast forward, I'm a sophomore at Amherst College in 1986.
Massachusetts.
Yeah.
Okay. And I almost went there, by the way.
Oh, you almost went to Amherst?
Yeah, I had an interview and everything. They turned me down.
Oh no, that was their loss.
Yes, indeed.
Wow. Well, our Black Student Union at Amherst brought Gregory to campus to talk about the political, economic, and social state of Black America, again in 1986. And instead, he decided to talk about food and why Black folks eat the way we eat and why we should become vegetarian, which was an umbrella term, back then for all kinds of plant-based eating. But he meant vegan, no animal products whatsoever. And it blew my mind. He traced the path of a hamburger from a cow on a factory farm through the slaughterhouse process to a fast food restaurant to a clogged artery to a heart attack. And I ate hamburgers and hot dogs every day. So that's what started it. That's what started it for me. He, it just rocked my world. And he made all of these connections with social justice, the food industry, the USDA, culture, tradition, the legacy of Black folks being vegan innovators and leaders. And so it just rocks my world. And that is what led me to do my own research. One of my sisters and my mother also. And I would say within a year, I became vegetarian and then vegan. And that was 35 years ago.
Yeah. And still today, many people, you just made a distinction that many people still don't. And even I struggle with the difference, vegetarian, vegan.
So that's a great question. So vegetarian means that you don't eat meat. So the actual flesh of animals, right? But it does mean that you might eat dairy products. So you might eat eggs, you might eat cheese, you might eat milk products. So vegetarians and vegans are alike because they don't eat meat, but vegetarians may eat other parts or secretions from animals. That's technically what that means. Vegans, on the other hand, don't eat anything from animals. Everything that we eat is from plants. So no meat, no dairy. So all of our food is from plants. It's plant-centered, plants only.
Yeah. And some might argue, Tracye, what's in our ground today? I mean, everything is so polluted anyway. Even the plants.
Well, that's gosh, there's so many ways to answer that question. One, I will. This is what comes to me to say. Animals animals get their protein from plants. So
Right.
you are getting your protein secondhand. The animals get theirs from plants. You are getting yours from the muscle tissue that was built from the plants that the animals were fed, right? So it is normal and natural for us to get our protein from plants, to eat plants directly instead of having to go through the slaughterhouse process, having to go through animals, because you can't just get the good when you eat animal protein or animals. You get the bad, and the bad is the saturated fat and the cholesterol, which leads to clogged arteries, which can lead to diabetes, certain cancers like prostate cancer, breast cancer, ovarian cancer. It can lead to stroke. It can lead to hypertension. All of these things we know affect African Americans the most,
Totally.
right?
Yep.
So that's the first answer, or the first layer. The second layer is you have to do what is available to you, what is best for you, what your resources allow you to do. So if you are able to shop to grow your own food first, whether it's a farm on your windowsill, on your balcony, in your backyard, in a community garden, that's best. If you're able to go to a farmer's market and get organic fruits and vegetables, that's great. If you have a grocery store that has fresh organic fruits and vegetables, that's great. If they have frozen, do that, right? So you can have that year round. And if you can't if organic is not available to you because it's not present or it's not affordable, then get the non-organic and wash it well. But do the best you can. It is not an all or nothing proposition.
Yeah, and at this, well, let me say this first, because you mentioned grocery stores and things like that. We know that food deserts exist, and really a lot of neighborhoods of color are victimized. They live in food deserts. But does that present an opportunity to, as you said, grow your own stuff and look at the natural resources that we do have?
Absolutely. And mind you, we've been dealing with this issue of food scarcity, food inequity in our communities for generations, right?
Oh yeah.
And we have always addressed this issue in a variety of ways. So in your community, there probably are organizations, individuals who have already begun addressing these issues. So find out what is available in your community. Are there community gardens? Are there organizations that are working to help help community members access healthier foods? Are there CSAs, community supported agriculture? These things we have innovated. We have led the way because we experience food scarcity and inequity the most over the generations. So there is always someone who has thought about and has tried to address this issue before you. So first, find out what is available in your community. And many folks may be surprised to know that they can be joining efforts that already exist, right? So that's what I say first. And it's easy to research this now. And in my community in Washington, D.C., when I became vegetarian first and then vegan in the late 80s, I took my junior year away from Amherst and I went to Kenya for the first semester, had some up close and personal experiences on safari with animals that let me know I never wanted to eat them again. But that second semester, I came home to DC and went to Howard University, and I was walking back and forth to school in 1987, and I saw Soul Vegetarian, Blue Nile, Everlasting Life, Brown Rice. There were 13 100% vegan restaurants, all Black owned, and they were the only 100% vegan restaurants in Washington, D.C., in the nation's capital, starting from the 1970s. I didn't know anything about it, right?
Yeah.
So we have this long history of being vegan and vegetarian. next to, the majority of us who eat the standard American diet. But we've always been doing it. So find out what's already available in your community and assume first that it's there and look for it, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I said.
And we're going to get into momentarily the 21-day vegan fresh start program, the 10 million Black vegan women movement. Just a couple of quick things, though. One, when we're talking about eating vegan, what folks may ask, what about protein and vitamins, and where do you get that from? Because a lot of foods, you depend on the proteins and vitamins from certain foods that you may not partake as a vegan. And secondly, as you pondered that one, the holiday folks, many folks, they're going to have their dinner table set. So I want to hear some recommendations from you on that for folks who might be celebrating the holiday and looking for, a vegan way in which to celebrate it.
Sure. Well, as I mentioned before, protein originates from plants. So you get ample protein from plant-based foods, from beans, from nuts, from grains. Even fruit has protein. I mean, all plant-based foods have protein in different amounts. Beans and nuts and grains have the most, right? So we actually have research. We have studies that show studies of omnivores, vegans, vegetarians, flexitarians, and how much protein they get. And the research shows that omnivores and vegans get 70% more protein than the recommended daily allowance across the board. So protein is a non-issue, y'all. That's a myth. It's a non-issue. Let's end it. It's a non-issue. In terms of the other nutrients, the vitamins, iron, calcium, B12. So you can get those. You can get the omega-3s. You can get those from plants, and you can for vitamin D in particular. You get that from the sun. So however you eat, if you're able to go out and get sun on your skin, that's the best way. But if you can't, you get it fortified in food. Whether you're an omnivore or vegan, it is going to be added to your food. So that, again, is a non-issue. It's quite easy to get all of the vitamins and minerals you need. This is the healthiest way to eat, whether you've been informed of that or not. If this is a concern of yours, please let it not be. This is a non-issue. You can get plenty of nutrients, an abundance of nutrients on a whole food plant-based diet. Now, again, just because it's vegan doesn't mean it's healthy. Oreo cookies, potato chips, sodas are vegan, right? They're not healthy. You want to eat a whole food plant-based diet. So that means if you eat for your Thanksgiving meal, if you have a roast, if you have mac and cheese, if you have collard greens, if you have what else do we have? Cornbread, if you have pecan pie, all of those things can be made from plants.
She's mentioning the black Thanksgiving table.
Right. All of those things can be made from plant-based ingredients. I mean, my family and I have been vegan for 35 years. Wow. We have vegan feasts. And we usually, before the pandemic, would go to a holiday event with my extended family. There would be at least 100 of us every year. And we would bring our vegan food, right? And just share it with everyone. And we were teased 35 years ago in the beginning. What is that? What are you eating? Da, 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 on and on. And, we just got to the point where we stopped defending ourselves, stopped trying to explain ourselves. And we were just like, this is what we eat. If y'all want some, have some.
But hasn't it gotten better over the years?
It's in terms of being vegan, it's much easier now. And
well, I mean, as far as the taste too, right?
Oh, yeah. It's always, this is an ancient way to eat. So every culture around the world is plant-based. It may not be plant exclusive, but it's plant-based. So spices, dried herbs and spices, flour, oil, all of those things are already vegan. A dead bird doesn't taste good. You add flour, you add oil, you add spices. That's what makes it taste good. Those things are vegan, right? Yeah. This is something. So all around the world, people have spices and herbs And these things are already vegan. So it has always been delicious, right? It's just that more people are finding out about it.
Yeah, she's the author of Ageless, Vegan, and By Any Greens Necessary. I love that title, By Any Greens Necessary. Tracye McQuirter. Tracye, so tell us about the 21-day vegan fresh start program. I've seen some things about it. Give us some insight.
Sure. So I started a nonprofit last year called 10 Million Black Vegan Women. And our goal is simple. We want to help improve the health of Black women now and for generations to come. So our goal is to help 10 million Black women around the world go vegan so that we can live longer, healthier lives, and because we affect everyone else, you know, in our families, in our community. So it will have a ripple effect. And our signature program is a free 21-day vegan fresh start where we go vegan together online for 21 days. And so we give you a menu, a meal plan, grocery shopping list, recipes, cooking tips. We have cooking instructors that do live cooking classes. We have recorded videos. We have interviews with vegan doctors and nutritionists and experts. We talk about the environment. We talk about food justice. We talk about the history of Black folks and veganism. And we have an online platform where the women in our community can upload their videos telling us about their progress, their photos of the foods they're making, what they like, what they didn't like, cheering each other on. So it's a community building experience. And that's why we've been able to, get so many women excited about it. And the results have been phenomenal. So 80 to 90% of the women who start the program finish it, and most lose weight. They lower their blood pressure, they lower their cholesterol. Some are even able to reduce or get off of diabetes medication, high blood pressure medication. They gain mental clarity. They obviously eat more fruits and vegetables, and they enjoy cooking more. They learn more about the environment, about the treatment of animals, about food justice. So these are the results that we expect because it's entirely whole food, plant-based. So we are not doing the processed vegan foods. We are helping women cook simple, easy, delicious meals, flavorful meals from scratch. And when they do that, they are going to see these health results in just 21 days. And I will just add that our first week is all preparation. So we don't even start eating vegan until the second and third week. So they're getting these results from 14 days, actually.
Wow. So, and obviously, Tracye, you have helped many others change their diets. What have you found as some of the biggest hurdles in the quest for people to embrace is it veganism? Is that a right way to say that?
Sure. Oh, okay. Veganism, plant-based food, plant-based living, plant-based lifestyles, all of that. The biggest hurdles are usually that women or people in general, Black women in my program, but people in general that I've worked with over the years think the food is not going to taste good and that they're going to be deprived, right? That's the assumption that they have. And so immediately with our program, all the recipes are from my Ageless Vegan cookbook that I wrote with my mom and a professional chef. And so we're using tried and true recipes that we've eaten for the last 35 years that we know are delicious. Right. So we knock that out, right? You don't have to fear that you're going to eat bland food for the rest of your life. Who would ever do that? I love food. I've eaten vegan food all over the world, and it's one of the joys of my life. So we make sure that the food is delicious for folks. So we knock that out. And then the other thing is that they might be different or isolated from their family, from their friends when they go out to eat. You know, just socially, they may be the only ones in their families or communities or circles who are doing this. And so that's where the community building and social support in our program comes in, because they join a group of like-minded women. Some have been vegans longer than me. Some are new. Some have taken the programs before. So they get this built-in support. So they're not doing it alone. And community is what it's all about. So those are the two main things. And then in terms of availability, you can shop, what is available in your community. So you can shop at your local grocery store. You can shop at a high-end health food store. It's up to you. But we try to make it as accessible and affordable for folks as possible.
Yeah, and Tracye, if you could give one piece of advice to new vegans, what would that be?
Have grace with yourself. That's my number one piece of advice. Have grace with yourself. It took me a year to do this, right? A little over a year, because it was so hard for me to let go of cheese. But while I was eating cheese, I was reading about how unhealthy it is and the cruelty involved with it, right? So have grace with yourself. Try it. Keep going. If you try our 21-day program, or you try someone else's program, you try going vegan, and the next day you eat meat and dairy, just start again the next day. But keep going. If I had stopped, I had stops and starts for that year. If I had stopped, I would not be here where I am now 35 years later, helping hopefully already hundreds of thousands, but hopefully millions of folks try vegan and ultimately go vegan. Keep going. Every vegan meal counts, but have grace with yourself. It's your personal journey. This is not a sprint. This is a personal lifestyle choice and change. So have grace with yourself. You will do it, and you will get there.
And Tracye, what about beer, wine, alcohol? What does that fit in, if at all?
Those things, alcohol can be vegan. I mean, there are lots of vegan brands, and so I would recommend that if folks want to check those out, just do an internet search, and there are lots of great vegan, not lots of, but there's some Black vegan beverage brands out there as well. So they can be vegan, but typically they're filtered through bone char, the most alcoholic beverages. And so they're technically not vegan. So that's why I encourage people to look for vegan brands if they can.
Gotcha. And, veganism is becoming more popular. Is it purely a result of people becoming more educated and aware?
Yes, absolutely. So, this gives me a quick opportunity to say that African Americans are the fastest growing vegan demographic in the United States, at 8% as compared to 3% of Americans overall. And this was based on a Pew Research survey in 2016, which is the latest information that we have, right? And of that 8%, vegan, African-American vegan and vegetarians, it's estimated that Black women are the majority. So we are the face of veganism in the United States. Again, we have a long history of doing this. If you look at other surveys that have been done over the decades by the Vegetarian Resource Group, African-Americans have always been twice as likely to be vegan than everyone else. So this is consistent. And the reason is it's smart. It's once you have the information, once you make these connections and you can make an informed choice, immediately people want to make some kind of change, right? And so this is never a surprise to me. The reason that it's growing exponentially now is because of the internet, right? Because we have folks who can share their journey online on all of these platforms, and you can choose who to follow. Not only experts, healthcare professionals, doctors, nutritionists, public health nutritionists like myself, vegan influencers, folks who are just getting started to folks who've been doing it for 70 years, right? There's so much information, so many recipes, so many shows, podcasts. It's so much easier to do it now. That's why it's become popular, but it's because of the work that activists like myself and thousands of others around the country and the world have been doing for decades to get us to this point, right? So that's why it's grown so much. And, this is what we want. We want it to be so popular. We want the majority of people to be doing it. We want it to become second nature. So I'm very excited about the time that we're in.
Yeah, and we spoke a lot about Black women, and it seems like Black women take the lead in everything. That's good anyway. But what about Black men? How are they faring?
So Black men are doing well as well. I mean, we are the fastest growing vegan demographic, African Americans overall. So that includes, all of us. However you, wherever you are, whether you call yourself, whatever you call yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, whatever gender, age, among African Americans, we are the fastest growing demographic. This Pew Research study did men and women, right? But all of us in the African American community make up that 8%. So I think that, whoever, we welcome everyone who identifies as a woman. And I think it's really important to recognize that everyone has an opportunity to eat vegan, whether you're male or female or whatever your gender identification is. But with us, we focus on Black women and folks who identify as women because historically we have the worst health outcomes, right? Mm-hmm. And that's what the research shows. So that's why I focus on Black women in particular. But there are lots of Black men influencers out here, so many. And, with men, typically in our patriarchy, they focus on whether or not, they're going to gain muscle mass, whether or not they're going to lose muscle mass, this protein and masculinity myth, that they go together, and whether tofu is going to give them man boobs. I mean, there's just so much of misinformation out here, right? I have always taught men and folks who identify as men throughout my career. But what I have found, I'm a lean person, I'm a thin person. And what I have found is that they want to hear, most of the folks I hear from want to hear from men specifically if they are men or identify as men, right? Because they want to have those conversations about athleticism, about muscle mass, and all of that. Women do too, but mostly my experience has been that men want to hear from other men and folks who identify as men. So there are lots of folks out here doing this work. I just happen to focus on women.
And Tracye, so I mean, like I said, I love the title of the books. What is next? What do you have in store next? Any more books? Whatever. What's next for Tracye McQuirter?
I'm still figuring that out. I mean, this 10 million Black vegan women movement is new, and we're focused on building up our team and our funding and helping, reaching our first 1 million women. So that's a lot of work. That's where I'm focused on my efforts. But yes, there are definitely books down the line. There's more in the cooker happening. So maybe I can come back and keep you posted on the next big thing that's coming.
That sounds like a plan. Please drop your information in the private chat there for our producer, Tracye McQuirter. She national food hero. That's a pretty amazing title when you think about it. National food hero makes me want to follow you on social media and everywhere else. If you're a food hero, I love to eat. So
yeah. So you know what? I don't know where you are, but I'm in the DC area. I would love to show you some of my favorite vegan spots in the area. But yes, thank you. That I'm honored about that designation. That was really exciting to get. And if folks want to know more about my background, I've won some other awards and that kind of thing, they can check me out at byanyagreensnecessary.com. But I think it's more than me. It's not about me. I could have stopped a long time ago and just lived my happy, healthy vegan life, right? But I'm an activist, and for me, it's about how many folks I can share this information with and bring along with me. So if you want to join our movement, it's 10millionblackveganwomen.org/fresh start, and it's free. So this is for you and about you. And we want to share with as many folks as possible and help them at least go vegan for 21 days and get started.
Well, there you have it. The national food hero, the ageless vegan who's doing it by any means necessary. Tracye McQuirter, we thank you so much for joining the Black Press of America's Let It Be Known. Continue the great work and have a great and safe week. And we'll certainly check in with you again. Thank everyone for watching. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.